this little summary view. It's going to give you a bit of a rundown of the workflow. So as Peter mentioned, now Bufferzone is a premium example of a pool-specific platform to help you manage your business. This can be interchangeable with a variety of the other ones out there on the market. Most of them will integrate with a connected accounting software, be it Xero, QuickBooks, MyOb. Pinch Payments supports all three of the majors and a couple other niche pieces of software here and there. But ultimately, those pieces of software help you schedule and create jobs, which will then sync over the information into your connected accounting system, where you can choose to issue your invoice out of that connected accounting system. And from there, that flow then allows you to have that automatically synced into the Pinch system to allow you to do all of the either automated or manual payment processes that you can do inside of Pinch. So that's a really simplified, holistic approach. Sales order into accounting system, from the accounting system into Pinch. We then take that payment and we reconcile it back to your accounting system, which, if your accounting system supports the two-way integration with the connected pool program, in this case Bufferzone, that information will report back to that piece of software and allow you that full top to bottom oversight based on whoever your users or your roles of your company are. Everyone should be able to see that information, whichever system that they have access to. So you're all looking at the same info and you're not getting those embarrassing moments where accounts are saying they owe money, but you can see that they don't, and any of that mess all goes away. So that's what we're here for. So what are we going to cover today when we talk about the pool industry playbook? Now, pool industry is an industry that Pinch has quite a steady foothold in. We have a lot of pool businesses that we service, and we really love the pool industry. It's such a simple industry when it comes to payments pain points from the customer perspective and the merchant perspective, and all of them are solvable, right? Now, we use the word easy because from our perspective it is, but we also acknowledge that getting customers to set up payment methods and make payments and pay you on time, they are all challenges, right? We're here to help you overcome those challenges by giving you these processes that can help really cement an efficient process for delivering on these workflows. But ultimately, we understand the general hardship that both payer and merchant come across. And we're always open to feedback and product enhancements to ensure that everything about this is as good as it can possibly be on both sides. So giving you that as a high level, what are the three key problem statements that the pool industry typically encounters? And what are the features that I'm going to cover today and processes that actually help you to remove these from your business as pain points? So the first one that we're talking about here on the top left-hand side, the problem statement is, my on-site or maybe accounts team is struggling to take payments, or your current process is quite clunky for taking payments, right? So the way and the feature that we actually use to solve this is our on-site payments process, which utilizes a couple different areas of the Pinch system, but ultimately what they lead to is allowing your clients to self-pay, or your on-site or accounts team to action payments on behalf of clients via that link that Peter showed before. So that's our Pay Now page. So that's the first thing that we're going to touch on. The second problem statement is, work is done for a client, a job is done, and we don't have a payment method on file to actually charge the customer either at the point of service or after the point of service, leading to late or non-payment. This is the number one pain point of the pool industry. I would probably almost say every pool shop that signs up using Pinch Payments comes to us talking specifically about this problem. Oh, I've got 80 grand in outstanding payments. Oh, I've got 150, 200, $300,000 in outstanding payments, because you have allowed the process to let you down because you've not had the opportunity, possibly because of resources, lack of a platform, and a variety of other things, to actually easily save payment details and have the authority to charge your customer for those invoices on time. So this feature is called the pre-approvals feature in Pinch Payments. It's basically a very simplified payment capture flow that allows you to store details And then I'll show you a bunch of the cool things that it can be used to do to actually automatically or manually charge your client using those details, right? So that's that feature. The third and final problem statement that we'll be covering is we can't offer flexibility to struggling clients without it creating a massive pitfall or extra amount of manual work for either the client or the merchant, right? And the use case here is typically, someone doesn't have the sort of weekly income or cash flow themselves, or is in a bit of a vulnerable financial position where they actually can't afford to pay for your, say their pool broke and you've got a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 maintenance job that you've billed them for, and they physically don't have the money to pay you that up in one single payment. What we're talking about is the ability to offer flexible payment terms. We call them payment plans, that allow you to dictate to your client a payment schedule, maybe weekly, fortnightly, monthly, that actually allows you to save their details and automatically debit them on this schedule of payments, eliminating any manual work that would typically be associated with this, which in the pool industry, I hear a lot of cases of people being like, oh yeah, Mary owes me about $5,000. She just sends me $100 a week. And the business, the pool shop, who all of you are already strapped for time and run off your feet because it's summer, right, are having to manually remember to chase up Mary for her $100. And they're also having to manually reconcile those payments, right? Which is just creating this massive amount of admin work at the end of your already very, very busy day, right? Pinch can help completely eliminate that problem, right? So that high level, those are the three things that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to share my screen and show you a few of the different ways that you can do that. So if that's all making sense and we don't have any sort of initial questions off the bat, I'll get stuck straight in. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is our invoice payment links. Now, Peter did a really good job showing what this looks like from the buffer zone side. So it does use the same intermediary zero connection. So whether you're following your buffer zone flow and getting that invoice out to the client, or you're not, you're not doing that and you're using another piece of software, or any zero-based or QuickBooks-based mechanism to deliver the invoice into your customer's hands, this process is going to be the same, right? And this process is as simple as client receives link for the invoice. Inside of that link is the embedded payment link or URL link that redirects the customer to Pinch to make a card or bank account payment in full, or opt into pre-approval or enroll into a payment plan, right? There's a couple of things I'll show you there. So this is the simplest mechanism by which to just, if you aren't currently offering online payments as an option to your clients, this is a really easy mechanism to deliver them online payments as an option and allow them the flexibility to pay you with card or bank account, or set up things like payment plans, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to swap now to my screen. This is a Pinch account, right? So if you're already a Pinch user or you're not a Pinch user, this is the Pinch system, right? From here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically go and find an invoice. So down here in the payments tab, there is going to be a invoice that I can open up. Oh, as my system is really, really slow all of a sudden. Live demos, always fun, always reliable. Here we go. It's finally plugging along. So you can see here that we've got a variety of invoices or payment plans that are scheduled. What I'm going to do is I'm basically going to go and find an outstanding invoice. This is an invoice that I will have issued to my client from my accounting software already. And let's assume that this client doesn't currently have any payment details saved in Pinch, right? All that's going to happen is, as Peter showed, they're going to end up on a Pinch payment page that is going to allow them, and again, this is just taking its sweet old time to load. I caveat this with the actual production environment, the one that you as a merchant will use, is lightning quick. This is just test environments are nice and slow for reliability's sake or unreliability's sake. Goodness gracious, very slow. All right, so this is the Pinch payments page. Very simply allows your client to make a payment via card or bank account and do one of two additional things. In the event that they have multiple outstanding invoices, they can also add these other invoices in to the batch of this payment and pay for them all at once. So instead of having to ask your client to punch in bank account details for 3 separate invoices, yada, 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 in these really manual processes, you can make it really easy for them to pay you 1 or more invoices very quickly, right? All your client does is jump down to the bottom here and select card or bank account, right? And make that payment. Now, a couple extra little bits here. Processing fees. In Pinch, you can very easily choose to configure your account or your individual payers to be surcharged the payment processing fees for cards or bank accounts or both, right? It's entirely up to you what you do. Typically, as a sort of best practice guide, you want to offer your clients at least one option as a free option. So in this case here, you can see that the bank account option has no processing fees associated. The reason you do this is because, and I talk about it from my own experience, if someone sent me an invoice and it was $1,000 and I got to a payment page that said it's either going to cost you 20 extra bucks in fees or 5 extra bucks in fees, I'm just going to close the tab, right? I'm going to forget about it. I'm going to worry about that problem another day, which drastically decreases your likelihood as a business of getting that invoice paid because your payer was in a paying mindset and now you've actually removed that experience and that feels good from them, and you've basically presented them with extra charge, right? Direct debits are always really affordable as a business to absorb into your pricing and absorb on behalf of your client. So we always highly recommend that if you're looking at getting a better acceptance of payments rate, right? So that's the payment page. Now, the real hack for this in the context of the pool industry is the ability to open this payment link from within Pinch, like I did here. So I jumped in and found my actual invoice either by going to the customer or the payments tab. And I, as the merchant or accounts team member or on-site technician, can actually open this payment page on my phone, iPad, laptop, which are obviously very common tools used in the pool industry. And you can actually open up the payment page and literally fill it out with your client while you're on site with them, which drastically increases the likelihood of being able to get that invoice immediately paid, right? There are a lot of pool shops out there that attend site. The tech team member jumps into Buffer Zone or Pool Tracker or any of these other platforms, writes up the job and submits it, and then leaves without taking payment, without capturing payment details. And now it's the accounts team job to chase and chase and chase and chase that person until they eventually pay. And maybe you get some good ones that pay it once they get that email immediately because they're good, but the large majority of them won't, right? They'll either pay it after a while or late or not at all sometimes, right? What this allows you to do is have a immediate point of contact with the customer where you can push for the payment up front by literally handing the phone or the iPad or the laptop with this page already open to your client and basically get them to punch in the details and submit that payment right then and there. So we call this whole process merchant initiated payment in this context. This is a process you should absolutely be doing as a pool shop. If you're not already doing it, you're already creating a bottleneck that you're pushing further and further down the road of now relying on your client to actually, out of the goodness of their heart, remember or want to open up that payment and make the payment. So why not just get rid of that and really push for the payment up front if it's the type of job that you can do? So definitely recommend this as process number one. As Peter mentioned, you can see here as well that you do have the ability on this page to actually not only capture a payment, but also convert it into the ongoing pre-approval, which is the process that I'm going to show you in a second. But you also have that functionality here. So the flow that I typically recommend to pool shops here is step one, do your job and raise your order, your bill, sales order, job, whatever it is that syncs over to your accounting software, which syncs to Pinch. Open up that invoice, present it to your customer while you're on site. They're satisfied with the job. They're in a paying mindset. Hand it over to them or sit there with them and say, okay, I'd love for you to pay for this right now. Can we also save your payment details so that we can automatically bill you in the future, right? Most clients are going to say yes, which now means that you've gotten your invoice paid and you've drastically increased the likelihood that your future invoices are going to get paid because you've saved your client's payment details so that you can automatically debit them in the future. Massive, like quick win process that you can implement into your business here, that if you apply it well, will absolutely have a drastic impact on your cash flow and the time it takes for you to get paid. So that's solution one, right? So do we have any questions at all about solution one? Feel free to jump in the chat, ask any questions that you have, any curveballs that you can think of before we move on to the next workflow. If you don't and you only think about them later, that is also fine. We can answer them later in the session, or if you think of them, 9 p.m. after you've had a cup of tea, while you're, trying to fall asleep in bed, send them to us via email tomorrow. All right, doesn't look like any chat questions so far. So we're going to move on to the next process. So this process here is our auto debits and stored payments process. So this leads on from what I've just shown you. So this is all about ensuring that when you onboard a new client, you are capturing their payment details up front. There is no other more effective way to inject cash flow into your business than having a payment method for a client that you have the authority to tap into and charge for the work that you do, right? Cash flow is the number one killer, and it's called the silent killer of business because a lot of people don't often talk about it. They often talk about, times are tough, costs are going up, this and that. Those are far less of a problem than actually doing work and actually getting paid for it on time, right? Because if you do work and you charge for what you're worth and you get paid on time, then you just scale that dial up, right? More staff, more outreach, so on and so forth. Do you have a question,
Can I
Peter?
just jump in there?
Yeah,
I was just
certainly.
going to comment on that. And obviously, I haven't been in the pool. I haven't owned a pool business now for a couple of years, but I know most of you, and I know how busy you get in the summertime, and you do not want to be taking on customers that you don't know if they're going to be good payers or they're not. So what I used to do in my business before I sold it was, once I learned the benefits of Pinch, I would not take on a new customer unless they agreed to auto direct debits. Now, that might seem a bit harsh, but why shouldn't you get paid as soon as you've done the job, or within 7 days, or whatever your payment terms are? And if they don't want to agree to that, then they're probably going to be a customer that you don't necessarily want to have as a customer, right? So it was a flat rule for me, by the time I'd sold my business, that I would not take on any new regular clean customers at all unless they had pre-approved direct debits, so that I didn't have to worry about that. And obviously, when we started with Pinch as well, we went out to all of our customers and tried to get them on board. It's hard to change the habits of old customers that sometimes can be a little bit pushy, but it's not impossible. And it was a great relief for me, knowing that on the 7th day of every month, because my payment terms were 7 days from end of month, that I would be getting between $30,000 and $40,000 just deposited into my bank account from Pinch payments automatically. That was $30,000 or $40,000 less than what I had to chase up. Now, that's not, it's only a percentage, but you can imagine having to chase up that much less money each month is a big relief. And if I had my business still now, I would be pushing to get 80-90% of my customers on there and to resolve that. So I just thought I'd tap into that. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't take on customers unless they pre-approve, but when it's these days, you guys are all professionals, you're all good at what you do. It is very hard for someone to find a good quality pool company in the middle of summertime. I would be using that to your advantage to say, yes, we can fit you in, but it's contingent on you allowing us to direct debit you at the time. And if they don't want to, well, that's up to them. So anyway, I just thought I'd put my 2 cents worth on that. So yeah.
No, I appreciate that, Peter. That's exactly everything that I was about to say, right? Like I went to an expo a little while ago, and a quote that stuck with me was effectively, and there was a little bit of chat and conversation before this about late or non-payers in businesses, but the quote that stuck with me is that you can't afford to keep them, right? You might think you can because, oh, they're a good client and they've been with me for ages and, all this sort of business. But there is a direct correlation between people that either don't want to set up these sorts of payment arrangements and them being very likely to not pay you on time if you don't set them up on one, right? So our recommendation, like in terms of flow here, is push, push, push for the pre-approval, mandate it, make it a new requirement of your business, write it into your terms of service, start maybe using a contracts or a proposals piece of software that you can inject the pinch pre-approval link into, which I'll show you in a second, and make sure that people are giving you that payment method up front. Because then when you go and deliver your service for them, that is one less thing that you are having to chase and hassle them for after you've already done the work that they agreed to pay you for, right? So as Peter said, get paid for what you've done and what you're worth, and make sure that it's happening by implementing a stored payment solution in your business, right? So what that actually looks like in terms of the actual system is a pre-approvals page. So I'll head and show you what pre-approvals look like. Now, there's about 6 different ways to activate someone on a pre-approval in Pinch. You've already seen one of them, which is that little checkbox on the Pay Now page. So that's potentially, a flow that you can adopt is attend site for their first ever clean, get them to pay for the invoice then and there, and enroll them into a pre-approval. That's an absolutely viable way of getting that payment method stored. But the second options are usually, okay, well, how can we embed this into our onboarding process and how can we get our existing customers set up? So if we first talk about the onboarding process of new clients, this is as simple as delivering all new clients the pre-approval activation link and getting them to fill it out, right? So the way that we go about doing this is we find our customer. So we'll head to our customers tab. And you can see here that I already have a bunch of customers with active pre-approvals, saved payment methods. But let's say, for example, and I'm going to scroll down and find just a very random example. I'm going to grab Miss Blossom here, right? So Blossom's come to us. She wants to get her pool cleaned every month, right? And maybe she's got a broken pump at the moment, right? You've attended site, you've scoped out the work, and now it's time to capture their payment method. What do? Right? Option one is maybe even before you attended site, you've decided to adopt the pre-approval philosophy, and you've actually invited Blossom to the pre-approval before even attending site as a way to sort of confirm that they're actually serious about getting this work done by giving you that payment method, right? So that's option one. And all you need to do is checkbox the client, scroll up to the top of the page and hit this send pre-approval button, right? This is going to fire out an already templated, which you can customize, email to your client, asking them to activate the saved payment method in the Pinch system, right? So that's option one. Option two is you can actually jump into that individual client's record. And you can, once the page loads, you can come down to this section here called pre-approval, and you can directly copy their pre-approval sign-up link and email or text it to them. Some people prefer emails, texts, whatever works for your clientele, but deliver this to them. And this is going to be the link that allows them to provide you with their payment information to set you up on auto debits. Typically, we find more and more now, we're actually starting to see a lot of pool businesses start to utilize proposals, contracts, and like mandate services that are actually like kind of trying to really lock people into the service to get a little bit more sort of concreteness to their ability to charge them. If you have a service like that, it's very easy to copy this link and inject it into it. But we can also chat with you about some of the other pieces of software that Pinch directly integrates with that will actually work really seamless with Bufferzone, Zero, Pinch, and this other piece of software that can actually knit it all up into a really nice flow for you. But once you've delivered that to the client, it looks a little bit like this. So I've clicked the launch pre-approval page button here, which actually directly opens up the pre-approval. And from here, all this page, and this is the same link that gets emailed or you copy directly and send to your client. All it's asking them to do is provide you with a payment method, right? And let me just quickly make a little change here so that I can show you a good example of what it would look like in the real world where they're going to get surcharged. Here we go. So based on the surcharge settings, I just made a quick little change. So this merchant is choosing to surcharge the card processing fee, but absorb the bank account fee. So you're now presenting the pre-approval activation link to your client, asking them to set up and store the payment method for this business, right? And you're asking them to choose card or bank account, and you're presenting them with the processing fee costs to them, right? Now, a couple things here. You can see that you can also include custom text here. So if you wanted to add some embellished custom text, groveling and begging for them to, please set up the payment method, you do whatever you want, right? But we're firm believers that just short, sharp, and powerful information here, really asking them and sort of confirming to them the value of them giving this to you is really, really powerful. And you can also include a terms and conditions link if you have one that they'll need to passively confirm. From here, the customer can just put in their saved payment details and confirm that pre-approval agreement. This then saves the payment details in our system as a pinch pre-approval. It emails the client and the merchant, you, with a confirmation that confirms that they have activated that payment method. And inside of that email, it also includes a link for the merchant to be able to review their payment details or cancel the pre-approval in the event that they need to. So that's typically the quality of life piece that's been missing from a lot of direct debit facilities, which has actually led to a lot of the sort of negative perception that payers have about being direct debited is the inability for them to cancel, or that it's a hard and challenging process. Pinch makes it really easy. If they want to update their details, they can. If they need to cancel, they can. But they can also contact you and you can cancel it if they need to or update it, right? Now, the other advantage of this page, and I refer back to this concept of merchant initiated, is just like the Pay Now page. If you're on site with your customer and you've just performed your first job for them, you can open up this page and fill out the details with them. So again, another process that you can adopt here is attending the site and doing a first job. And then after you've done that first job, you can either get them to pay via the Pay Now page and save the details, or you can either now capture the pre-approval details, or you already captured the pre-approval details before you even attended site, so that now when you raise your invoice, and this is where I'll flick back to my other tab, now, when you raise your invoice for that customer, and I'll use one that I already have pre-approval details for, you can see here that this customer has an unlimited pre-approval with a card. So now, whenever an invoice is raised, and I'll just quickly create one right now. Let's say it's due, I don't know, maybe we do due tomorrow because that's your payment terms. And it was a $87 service, right? This will be automatically scheduled to be deducted from your client on the due date of the invoice. So we can see down here now when we come back here and we review this page, as the merchant, either the on-site staff or the admin team, you can actually see that you've just gone and done that job, and the system is going to attempt to debit that either straight away because you same day dated the invoice, or whenever you due dated that invoice, in this context, tomorrow, right? So you can leave site being far more comfortable knowing that there's a massive chance that you're going to get that invoice paid, as opposed to doing the old get in the van and cross your fingers and hope that you don't have to chase them in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks time for that $87, right? So this process drastically helps you automate a lot of your payments flow. You do the job, you get paid, right? It's that simple. So really recommend you to push heavy and hard for pre-approvals for new clients. Make it the standard, make it the minimum, write it into your terms, and just action this as your onboarding procedure. Everyone has to have a pre-approval, right? Now, the second process that I want to highlight for you is, well, what do you do with all your existing clients that are already paying you 20 various different ways, right? Now, look, we're not here to rock the boat. If you've got happy clients paying you on time, straight into your bank account, you can leave them there, right? We're not trying to force anyone to like rip up those processes and force you to use pinch and only pinch. If that's working for you, that's awesome, right? However, I've got a bit of a hunch that that's probably not working for you because most people don't pay on time, right? So what you can actually look to do is you can look to migrate your clients and ask them to instead change the way in which they pay you. So if they've typically been sending you money every week or month or just paying ad hoc, ask them if they'd be comfortable to set up a pre-approval. And if they are, awesome, awesome. Invite them, activate them, and you're good to go, right? Now, for the more prickly clients, we actually built a feature specific for this. Over here in the account settings, you can find a feature called absorb fees for all clients on pre-approvals. Now, what this feature does is in the event that you would normally be surcharging the client, you're basically now changing the mode to be if they opt into or are already enrolled into a pinch pre-approval, you are going to reward them by paying their processing fee on their behalf, right? This can be a really, really effective acquisition strategy for getting your existing board of merchants set up on Pinch. You're basically saying to them, I'll pay your processing fees on your behalf if you please give me a payment method. If you've got good existing payers, you usually don't need to do this for them because they're already going to be happy to pay you the surcharge. However, if you have problem clients or consistently late paying clients, push for this because I can tell you right now, yes, it means that you're going to pay a little bit of extra fees, but the cash flow gain that you gain from the reduction in admin, right? And actually getting that cash flow consistently injected into your business is going to help your business grow far more than the amount of fees that you're going to be charged. Like far more. We have plenty of, and happy to share these with you if you ever come and do a demo with us, if you're not using Pinch or you just want to know a little bit more. We've got plenty of use case examples of merchants that came to us with $80, $100, $120,000 of outstanding debt and have applied the absorb fees process and now have effectively zero outstanding invoices or very little to zero. And they couldn't care that they're paying fees because they've got 17 new employees, 3 new locations, because they've had this ability to tap into consistent cash flow. So definitely recommend this as a process. I can see a couple questions. Let me answer these before we move on to the final step. So I'll just pop this up on frame while I answer these. We've got Emil asking, you're explaining well. That is why no questions. Okay, thank you. That's a lovely compliment. Reese, can this request be sent to multiple customers at once or send to all? It sure can, Reese. You can literally jump into the customers tab. Top left-hand corner, you can select all of your customers from your entire book, or you can apply filters. Say, for example, you only wanted to send pre-approvals to people that you've not already sent them to and people that you've invoiced recently, or I've not invoiced anyone recently, maybe anytime, that have email addresses. You can see I've got 191 records here. I can now bundle up all 191 and send all of them a pre-approval in one click. Bang, done, right? Super simple. So that's a way that you can do it through Pinch. We also offer one additional option here, which is our export to CSV. And this allows you to export the list of these clients to a CSV. And you can actually ingest that into a mailing software, for example, MailChimp or a CRM. And you can actually then create your own custom templates that come from your email address that include each customer's unique pre-approval link. So that's another feature as well that you could take advantage of. So hopefully that answers that for you, Reese. Alrighty, let's get stuck into the last feature. This is our subscriptions and payment plans feature. I'll keep this one super short, sharp, and simple. It is as simple as if you have customers that are either struggling to pay you in full, or as a business, you want to preemptively offer flexibility to your clients on larger invoices. Say, for example, pump installs, complete, resurfacing. If you guys are not just a pool shop, but you're also doing, builds and repairs and things like this. Anything that is really, really chunky in size typically has a relationship with not getting paid on time. payment plans can be an awesome way to not only start to get paid incrementally for that service instead of not getting paid, but also create some awesome quality of life experience for your customer by offering them the flexibility to pay that off over time instead of all upfront, right? So the way that these payment plans can be set up in Pinch is really, really simple. There's basically two modes that you can configure. You head over here to the plans and subscriptions feature, and you can build a payment plan. Now, the payment plan that I'm specifically talking about is this one at the bottom here called Breakdown an Existing Invoice. This allows you to take an existing invoice from the accounting software, assign it a payment plan, and our system will chop that up automatically for you based on the payment details that the customer has given you, right? It has two modes. You can either leave it in invitation mode only, meaning your customers can't access this without you specifically inviting them to it, or you can configure it in a way that allows your customers to see this based on the parameters that you set on their payment page when they follow the link from the accounting system, so that you can actually, without needing to even contact the customer, you can offer them this payment plan and they can choose whether or not that's relevant for them, right? So the way that you build payment plans is really simple, right? Name goes here. So what do you call the plan? And this might be, platinum, monthly, service plan where you're, and pardon my spelling, you might be chopping something up into, I don't know, 8 weekly payments, right? So they might have done a big job with you, and you're going to allow them to chop that up into 8 weekly payments. All you need to do on the right-hand side here is use the recurring payments feature to determine how many payments you want to chop this up into. So in this case, I'm going to chop this up into 8 payments, and I want those to be debited every 7 days, which is a week in this case. That's all that you need to, that's all that you need to configure if you want the payment plan to be invitation only, right? So I'm going to hit create on this. I now have my platinum service plan, 8 weekly payments. And all you need to do now is go and find an invoice that you want to assign it to, assign it, and it will email the activation to the customer directly. So I'm just going to go and jump into my payments tab over here. I'm going to go and find a big chunky invoice, maybe something a bit older. Here we go, $4,300 invoice, or maybe this one up here, $8,000 invoice, right? This client's done a big service job with you, full new pumps, the shed, the whole lot's been redone for their pool. I can now click into this invoice, find the payment plan that I want to enroll them into, and I can click create, and that's going to set up the payment schedule and invite Xandria to the payment plan. They receive an email confirmation asking them to activate this payment plan. But once again, you can actually click into this payment plan and open up that same activation page, and you can activate this with them on site, right? So again, you've created this big chunky invoice for the bill. You're on site, you hand over the phone and you go, hey, it's going to be $8,000. They go, oh, yep, I can't afford to pay that in full right now. What do you guys do? Or how am I going to pay you? You can literally just say to them, oh, we offer a variety of different payment plans. Would you like me to activate one for you? Would weekly, fortnightly, or monthly work? Oh, monthly will work or weekly will work. You assign that payment plan for them, right? You can open up this page and you can activate the payment plan right there and there with them, face to face or on the phone, right? This will then chop this invoice up into payments, which I'll quickly go and show you an example of. Down here. So we've got this payment plan here for Byron. Byron has what looked like a $2,000 invoice. Yep, $2,000 invoice being chopped up. And you can see here that it's being chopped up into 4 monthly debits, right? First one's already happened. You and the customer can both see when the next one's going to happen. And these are automatically attributed and reconciled back to your accounting software QuickBooks or MyOb. So that's payment plans. Really, really powerful for addressing old outstanding invoice, like late payment, or for offering really customer-centric, flexible payment options to your client if they can't afford to pay you upfront. Obviously, every business wants to get paid upfront, but if they can't, you've got this really low-touch way of offering them flexibility. That means that in the event that you surcharge them, you're not paying the fees and you're still going to get paid the full amount, right? Because there's plenty of options out there for payment plans, but a lot of them, especially buy now, pay later services, will often take between 5 and 15% of the invoice total off you in fees. Pinch doesn't do that, right? We're just giving you a tool to split this up into debits, and that allows you to get paid without having all that unnecessary additional charge. And even if you want, you can pass those charges on to your customer. So that's the payment plan feature. That's really all I have to show you on this session today. I can see that we've already gone a dash over time, so I apologize if anyone needs to disappear away. I have capacity now to sit here for a little while and answer any questions. Pete, if you're able to sit around and ask questions, answer questions as well, or bring anything else up, feel free to do so. But yeah, thank you all for joining us. That's everything that I have to cover today. And hopefully that's given you a little bit of a playbook about how you can apply these processes this summer so that you can get your payment method and get your invoice paid.
I'll just add quickly there that there's no cost to signing up to Pinch. And so I would encourage you to register, go through the process if you haven't already done that, and try it, because you will be surprised how many customers will take this on board. Even the good payers, yeah, they might be a little bit offended that you want pre-approval, but if they're a good payer, they're doing it because they want to be paying you. All you're doing is making it easier for them. So worth considering. Hopefully today's been helpful for you.
Yeah, 100%. Well said, Pete. Cool. All right. Well, we'll sit here for a little bit longer. If you have any questions or you want any additional information, I may as well just quickly run you through pricing and things like that for anyone who's still sticking around. Here we go. Reese, can we add a % if a payment plan is selected, i.e. if chosen to not pay all immediately, then we can put a surcharge on for the plan? You can't do that directly, Reese, but you could certainly, before you invite the client to the payment plan, in your own merchant service agreement, you could choose to charge them an additional fee for that by adding that as a line item into the existing invoice, thus increasing the total cost of the invoice. If that's something that you want to do, typically don't recommend that because that'll probably disincentivize the customer from wanting to do the plan. What we usually find is that the best way is to just surcharge the payment processing fees, and the client will basically pay the fee on your behalf, so you're not out of pocket for offering the plan. Cool. Thanks, Kerry. In terms of pricing, pretty straightforward here, guys. We offer 2 different payment types. We do bank accounts. We do direct debits, and we do cards. These are the processing fees. With both of them, you can pass them on to the customer if you would like. And it's quite simple. If you need to find these fees, you can jump onto our website and hit this button here called pricing, where we very transparently show you the pricing. Or if you have a Pinch merchant account already and you don't know what your pricing is, you can find your pricing by jumping down into the account settings. And there is a tab called Getting Paid, which shows you your payment processing fees. Now, these fees are not necessarily indicative of what you would be getting charged, as this is a testing account, but you'll be able to find them there. Cool. All righty. Doesn't look like we have any more questions. So thank you all for watching. Thank you all for attending. And we might drop off and close up the live. If you need to get in contact with anyone, you can reach out to me. I'll pop my email in here if you haven't got a Pinch account already. Or if you already have a Pinch account and you want to get in contact with our team, if you have questions or you got an issue or something like that, I've just posted the email addresses in there. And that's how you can get in contact with us. hopefully this has been tremendously helpful. Thank you very much, Peter, for joining. Really appreciate it. It's been a really good session, and we look forward to hopefully seeing a bunch of pool service teams get a bunch of pre-approvals and actually start addressing those cash flow issues. So, yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
guys.
everyone
Thanks
for
for coming
attending.
along.
Cool.